All right, welcome to the very first men's style panel. I've got about 12 guys here. We're going to talk about men's style. We're going to talk about what to do, what not to do, what's good, what's bad, and all the good, the bad, the ugly. We've got a little puppy here running around. He's the real authority, puppers. That's right. So I've got a list of questions that have been submitted that I am going to ask these guys, and we'll have a great discussion about style. But before we get into that, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves so you know who you're dealing with and who you're getting advice from and who you might want to listen to and who you might not want to listen to. So we'll start with you.
Scroll to the right.
Yes, so scroll to the right. Hi, I'm Justin Jevers, the founder and writer of The Fine Young Gentleman, a blog on men's style, more of the tailored sort. I'm also the founder and designer of J. Butler Shoes, focus on men's loafers and leather goods.
I'm Tanner Guzzi. I run a site called Masculine Style and a YouTube channel under the name Tanner Guzzi, and I focus on the philosophy and sociology of why any of this stuff even matters.
I'm AJ Harbinger from The Art of Charm. We have a podcast and we do social skills coaching here in Los Angeles.
What's going on, Internet? It is your boy, Eric Van Holtz with Beard Brand. We sell men's grooming products for your hair, your beard, your body. And we got a YouTube channel as well, Beard Brand.
What's up, guys? Ryan Masters, YouTube channel, Sparta Strength. So it's men's fitness and really focus on helping guys consistently go to the gym.
I'm Andrew from Primer Magazine, and we help guys dress better on a budget.
I'm Baron from Effortless Gent, and we focus on men's style and building a lean wardrobe.
What's up, guys? My name is Brock. You're watching The Modest Man.
The shortest man has
that one.
Gentlemen, I'm Aaron Marino from Aaron, we miss you. I'm Raphael from the Gentleman's Gazette. We help men dress better with classic style. And we also have Fort Belvedere, our brand for men's classic accessories.
We miss you too, Antonio.
That's all right.
I'm not going to try to say anything funny after you two. Kyle Boriston, I run Mantelligence, the Mantelligence app. We help men become better, more intelligent men.
John Zubak, partner here at The Art of Charm, focusing on business and social networking.
I'm Kyle Ingham. I run The Distilled Man. We help everyday guys become well-rounded gentlemen.
Right on. And I am Ryan Mickler. I'm the founder of Order Man, and we help men become better leaders. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you don't already know this or haven't figured this out, you can scroll left, right, and so your job is to find the person who's talking and or the person who is falling asleep
during the exam.
So we're going to get started with these questions. Like I said, I've got about 15, 20 different questions. I'm going to lead off with this one because I think there's a lot of guys out there who have questions about some of the mistakes that they may be dealing with. So I want to start, Tanner, with you on maybe one or two of the biggest style mistakes that you see, that you recognize.
Cool, yeah. Biggest, I think, and most common mistake is most guys go from 0 to 60 way too quickly. You start off with this assumption of, I don't like the way that I look right now, and you overcorrect into something that's really extreme compared to where you are. And the problem with it is that it's inconsistent with who you actually are internally, and it's way inconsistent with what the people are around you are used to seeing, so it actually does more damage than good. Not to say that you don't want to make improvements, but if you start off by doing it incrementally, then it becomes more a part of who you are, and then you're actually much more inclined to solidify those changes, because if you overcorrect, then you feel ridiculous, and then you go back to what you were a week before.
Right on. Any other?
I was just going to add to that. I've seen that happen where guys are sort of they're afraid to start dressing well because everyone at the office is going to give me crap for doing being different, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because they overcorrect, like you said, and then sure enough, people are saying, "Well, you weren't wearing like red shoes yesterday. What are you doing?" But if they would just do it a little more incrementally, it would come off better.
What other mistakes do you guys see?
I think like wearing ill-fitting clothing is probably
number one.
The single biggest mistake that most men make. And actually, I think no matter what size or shape you are, just sizing down is probably the first step. And then going to a tailor would be the second step. And just those two things will put you way ahead of most guys.
Yeah. The problem is you may not know what a good fit means, and you go to the sales guy. They just want to sell you something. So you can check it all on our website. We all talk about the fit, and you'll learn about the shoulders, the pants. And I think the number one mistake I see in the US is that men have pants that are way too long. So if you step on your pants or your jeans, they're too long. Go ahead and hem.
Awesome. Anything else?
I would also add to that, to make it specific to you. so that what you're wearing is unique to you. Where some people, you'll see them out and they just look like they bought off the rack at Hot Topic,
or their girlfriend dressed them,
or their girlfriend's dressed them, and it's just that straight picture, but there's nothing unique that sets it apart or is specific to that person.
Right on. Yeah, and a couple of points were brought up that we're going to actually delve into deeper, but just remember, you can scroll around, so you don't have to stare at me the entire time. I just want you guys
Although
to
the beard is a
because
pressure.
I'm feeling the eyeballs
feeling
right
the
now. I'm like,
pressure.
stop looking at me. All right, so scroll around, make sure you get everybody. So you mentioned something which was dealing with maybe setback or ridicule even, or somebody busting your balls about this stuff. Andy, I know that you've, and I have talked a little bit about this. How do you deal with somebody who may not either approve or maybe mock you for you trying to improve your style?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because dressing better is a self-improvement exercise. And there are a few other self-improvement exercises that people do that people make fun of you for. Like when people start going to the gym, people don't hassle you for like, oh, you doing squats now? Like you trying to get buff and in shape? Nobody makes fun of you for that. So it's very frustrating when people want to improve their style that they get made fun of for actually like improving themselves. So I think you just kind of have to take it from a very positive, like someone's like, oh, what are those shoes? And you're just like, oh, you don't like them? That's cool. Or like, this is what, oh, I got them at like this place. They were on sale. Like you kind of twist it to a positive, because I think a lot of guys that make fun of other guys for dressing better may be interested, but don't know anything about it. Or scared. And that's how they're responding to it. So you can actually spin it by being inclusive, including them in your own journey.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Do you really want to be hanging out with somebody who's going to give you a hard time about growing, changing, adding some style to what you have going on? And obviously, it's not gonna help any of this.
Well, but there's a difference between like your buddies razzing you and then people legit giving you grief about it. Because of course your buddies are going to give you some grief because you're changing, and that's what we do. We give each other crap about this stuff. But somebody who genuinely like won't let it go, it's a great way to distinguish. It's like, I don't want this dude in my life anymore.
Yeah. And plus, a lot of those guys like who make fun, like your actual friends who are like kind of giving you crap for a while. 6 months later, they're asking you to help them pick a suit.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Like I get a lot of crap for my hair. It's long. And I think the biggest thing is you have to wear whatever you're going to wear with confidence, whether it's clothing, your hair, your shoes, whatever. And I think you have to know your audience and you have to know your situation. When I worked in accounting in one of the big 4 firms, people would say, you dress better than the partner. Aren't you worried about getting flack for that? I was like, no. Then they should dress better. They're the partner. They should set the example. And you just, I just went in, I wore my suit. It fit well. I looked good in it. And I was just confident. And I think the biggest thing is the confidence, how you wear the clothes. Don't let the clothes wear you. You have to wear the clothes.
I love your answer to that. Have them dress better.
That's delegating.
That's you guys are talking right now. You're talking about basically being judged by other people. So let's flip the table and let's judge everybody else here for a minute. What I want to do is I want to talk about flip-flops, all right? Because I know there's a few items in the wardrobe that conjure up, like flip-flops is one, cargo shorts is definitely one, that conjure up this interesting debate. So I'm really curious what each of you have to say, maybe a yay or a nay when it comes to flip-flops, and we can do this a little bit throughout the discussion.
Flip-flops, yes. Cargo shorts, no.
Okay.
Both of those, just don't treat them as a default. Know when to wear them and wear them in that environment, and don't when you're not in that environment.
Flip-flops are beach or gym only.
Yeah.
Nah, I think you can wear flip-flops a little more than beach. I live down in Austin, Texas, so it gets hot down there.
I would say do not wear flip-flops in the gym, because if you drop weight,
Interesting perspective.
What about with the cape?
I think flip-flops, the rule is near sand or water, or as appropriate to local culture. So, and like on Prime, we're like, I try
Such a wimpy answer.
The reality is like.
Your feet gotta look good too.
Yeah. Guys' feet are pretty gross. That's why I'm generally against it. But there are definitely areas where people wear them. I'm not for it personally.
Baron, what do you have to say?
I'm with the body of water idea. Like if you're near a beach or a pool, but.
Now you're in New York. Does that count if you're in New York? Because you're always by water in New York.
It's gross when people wear flip-flops. Your feet get so nasty already. Like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I would say pool, beach, and like gym shower maybe. But then there are sandals, and sandals are different than flip flops, and like you can definitely pull off actual sandals with certain outfits.
Mandals.
Yeah, mandals.
I love mandals.
Man bag, yeah.
Don't call them that. Don't call them that.
It's my European carry-on, actually.
Cargo shorts for me, absolutely not. Flip-flops, I'm half Brazilian. It's like the national shoe down there. Get a quality pair made of Brazilian caoutchouc and wear it by the water.
Yeah, I love my reefs. Yeah, they're out of Brazil.
Yeah, they're awesome, right?
Great brand.
Havaianas, all like Brazil. Yeah.
I'm for flip-flops. I wear them all the time.
But with that grain of salt, like it.
Get him out of here!
Uninvited.
Wear them to the park all the time. I don't know.
I have a massive disdain for flip-flops. My dad growing up was one of those guys who wanted to sacrifice whatever he could for the family. So it was a surprise to me if he wasn't wearing $2 flip-flops from Kmart. And they would always break and I would be so happy. It's like, yes, he's going to get real shoes. Back to Kmart, another 2 pairs of $2 flip-flops. And so those things creep me out. But obviously, what else do you
childhood experience?
I'm still recovering. But obviously, I mean, what else are you going to wear at the pool? So, I mean, give it to where the place. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would sort of meld like Andy's and Tanner's answers. Sort of, it's like context matters. Like if you're at a place where you're at the beach, you're in a location where flip flops are generally accepted, and you'll be comfortable. It makes sense to have your toes open, not at the gym, to wear them, but also on that same note, to not make it a default thing. So if you're showing up to work wearing flip flops, I feel like that's sort of a sign that things are down. If there's a downward,
buddies, you slip on some flip flops.
I think what I'm hearing, like the general consensus is that it's fine if it's functional, number one, right? And if you're intentional about it. But I think that can be said about anything, whether you're wearing a jacket or anything else, that you should be intentional. So I want to talk about intentionality. And the question regarding that is, how do you find and be a little bit more deliberate, intentional about your own personal style? Because I look around and I see 12 guys or so, all with a very unique style, but all of it works for you individually. So, Raphael, if you would mind leading that discussion, how do you find maybe your individual style that's going to work well for you?
Yeah, in the beginning, I think it's good to start with the basics. And then you just start with one thing at the time. Don't try to go all crazy, get that big red jacket. Start with a smaller accessory, a pocket square, a piece of jewelry maybe just some socks, or a colorful shirt, or something that makes you comfortable, and go from there. Once you've mastered that, move on.
Perfect. Anybody else have anything about intentionality?
I would say for me, I've noticed like when I've just gone to stores and just shopped and tried to find things that I think look like me, it ends up being a very small comfort zone. End up like with a sea of like blue and white, like checkered shirts, casual shirts. But I found a good trick is to essentially copy other people that you see, like either celebrities or people that you know, especially if they have a similar body type to you or similar complexion. Say, okay, that guy's tall, kind of lanky. Maybe I'll try that outfit combination. I think that's a really good way to get out of what you think you look like, just try it out.
Yeah.
I think there's more to it than that, though. I think that's a great way to start, but you have to dive in deeper as far as who are the people that you're with, what's the audience, because half of style is how we feel about it, but half of style is how we show up to everybody else. And one of the reasons we care about the way that we dress is because of how that presents us to other people. Now, you shouldn't care what everybody thinks about you, but there are people whose opinions should matter, and you should factor them in when it comes to being intentional with your style. Johnny's got a really good rock and roll style. That doesn't work in a lot of different tribes, but with yours, that's absolutely appropriate. And so that's dressing with intentionality. I mean, every single one of us, look at the difference between you and Raphael. Very, very different, right?
I see no difference.
Totally no difference. But neither one of you is any more or less intentional than the other.
And they're equally comfortable.
Exactly. But you just have very different tribes that you're part of, and then you dress according to that.
Exactly.
How do you, I guess the question this maybe begs to be asked is, how do you avoid going too far or trying too hard? Because I think there's a point in time where it becomes not only functional but dysfunctional, because it's keeping you from keeping balance in maybe even other areas of your life.
The trying too hard is really just a symptom of wearing something that you're not ready to confidently wear. Because once it's not trying too hard, it just is. You just are wearing it.
Right.
It's part of your style. And so I get that a lot on Primer and comments about people like, oh, I'm worried about trying too hard. And it's like, well, if you rock it, like you're saying, it's not trying too hard. Just wear it.
And it's natural, comfortable.
Yeah. But you do have to push it sometimes. I mean, like if you've been wearing, blue and white shirts forever, like eventually you do have to maybe get a red shirt and see what happens. Like see how you feel. Like, it's not going to feel comfortable the first few times you wear it. So,
But you have to be ready to scale it back too. Because getting better at dressing well doesn't mean you're always getting more and more extreme or more unique. I think a lot of times I've overcorrected plenty. I think that's why we talk about overcorrection, or I do, because I know what it's like to wear a 3-piece suit to the grocery store. And it's just like, that's just as inappropriate as wearing flip-flops to the grocery store, right? And so you have to be willing to say, I'm going to take it too far, but then be just as willing to dial it back as you are to take it too far, rather than thinking that pushing the extreme is always the right answer.
I think it's totally fine not to wear a 3-piece suit to the grocery store. I think regularly
I think flip-flops are fine in the grocery store.
Well, they know you for it, right? And it's okay. But like, we all make mistakes, and when you try new things, you overdo it sometimes. I mean, I had horrible style choices that were just too loud. It was like an orange striped shirt with a Glen check suit, and then you have that paisley tie, and you think you need to do more. So then it's too much. But you'll grow and evolve, and you have to be willing to make mistakes, because that's how you learn and get better.
Well, this brings up something that Tanner and I have talked about before, which is that dressing well doesn't always mean dressing up. That it's like, most of the time, your 80-20, the biggest bang you're going to get for your buck is actually improving your casual wear, because that's probably what you wear most of the time, maybe even to work. Getting a good pair of jeans that fit you, shirts that fit your body, etc.
Yeah, with dressing, for a lot of us, it's our expression of ourselves through style and through what we wear, which is really an art form. And in art, everything is done for a purpose. So with intentionality, I think it's crucial to know what you want to look like, what you want to dress like. And you have to wear that, again, with confidence, but you have to think it through in terms of how you want to look, both to yourself and the outside world. And I think I don't know if it was like an Italian menswear proverb, but I'm sure you guys have all heard it. When you look in the mirror, take one thing off. Pocket square, change the orange shirt for like a cream colored shirt. Yes. But take it one notch back from what, your initial inclination is. And that's kind of like a catch-all, maybe instead of a, very aggressive paisley tie, you wear a solid grenadine tie or something like that.
So when it comes to, you're talking about trying new things, experimenting, maybe even pushing the bounds a little bit, like where do you guys turn for inspiration? I mean, I know there's your sites, okay, we get that. We know.
Primer.com.
Exactly.
It's actually, seriously, the Get Up series he does is awesome.
Primermagazine.com.
You can pay them off later.
Just give it to me.
Just take care of that. Anyways, I'm looking for places where you might go for new inspiration to maybe push that a little bit, because you do want to be more deliberate about it.
Well, before you go there, also unconsciously what you're pushed to from your environment. AJ and I have known each other for 10 years now. I've known him when he first moved to New York and when he was wearing fresh out of college, then being in New York, and then moving to LA. How we both laughed at how much LA has changed ourselves. In fact, you were talking about tribes, from being in the rock and roll tribe in New York or North Carolina and LA. All three of those areas, completely, and my dress and all three of those changed. And even with my New York rock and roll friends, after I had been out here for a few years, I went back to New York. And the first thing was like, what the fuck happened to you? So you went from, CBGB's 1978 to now Sunset Strip, 1984. And it's like, give me a fucking break. But those things, just being in that environment, that will seep in and will end up in your wardrobe without being conscious. And you mentioned intentionality. I think it's there, but it's an unsaid thing of why you picked it up and why you're wearing it.
Sometimes it's osmosis, sometimes
absolutely.
And that's a good thing. That doesn't mean that you sold out or that you've changed who you are or anything. It's fine to adapt to your environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think celebs are the easiest place to start. You go to red carpet pictures, you'll see the entire outfit, and they're paying stylists for that intentionality. And they're usually the trendsetters. They're the ones starting the wave. So, for me moving here to California, it was like, okay, zone in on what people are wearing to the red carpet events out here in LA, and you start to pick up little things. And then, as Johnny said, then you try to add a little edge to it, something that makes you stand out. So you're not cookie cutter, you're not Justin Bieber, but you're AJ.
Yeah, makes sense. So I've had this image since we started talking about flip-flops that I just can't get out of my head. I know I'm bringing maybe my own thoughts to the table here, but some of you guys mentioned the pedicure, which is something I would probably never do. So I'm really curious. Maybe you go around and get some insight. Is this even is this a thing for guys?
Andy's very excited about that. So here's my story with manicure pedicure.
Yeah.
I had never gotten it.
Everybody. Yeah, we're gonna run out of tape.
I had never gotten one before, and I went with an ex-girlfriend. Like I was like, oh, I'll give it a try, and I was disappointed. Like I was like, I thought this was gonna be more than it was, and it was really just like someone filing my nails and making them shorter.
Can you make a distinction? She's not your ex-girlfriend because you got a pedicure.
No.
Good. Go on.
That's
it, lady.
Good. Maybe. Oh, actually, the timeline is
interesting. Would anybody be on the opposite side of that who says, yes, absolutely, I do this every month or whatever it may be?
Not every month, but I did go for my first one not too long ago. I actually went with my dad on Father's Day. Because he's very uncomfortable with all of this, so. And it was delightful. And we actually went to a place that was specifically served men, and so it was probably more than what it sounds like. You got it was like a foot massage and like dim lighting and nice music. It was very, very pleasant.
I think it helps that they, because I know the place you're talking about. I think in DC, right?
Yeah, Growing Line.
Yeah, and I think it helps that they try to get that sort of masculine environment with the wood and the leather chairs. Right. That sort of takes the edge off a man getting a pedicure.
I'll go to the place where all the girls go and I'll talk to the girls. I don't know about you.
You live in a hotter climate and you're at the beach all the time. I mean, it's taking care of your nails and looking presentable without dirt and, super long hangnails is, I think, important. But you can do it yourself. It takes 10 minutes and just the environment in a nail salon is not something that I want to go to really. But
sure.
So it takes 10 minutes, and it's just like grooming your beard or getting a haircut.
But I guess the other side of that point is that if I have rough hands, for me, that's a bigger credibility booster for what I'm trying to do and who I'm trying to be than it would be to have soft, feminine hands. And so I guess maybe...
I would say soft hands are necessarily feminine.
It's
neither masculine nor feminine, it's just what they are.
Soft, feminine. So separate them, okay? Whatever we need to say. But you understand what I'm saying. I think there's a distinction between...
Like a stigma.
I prefer to call them developer hands. Or designer hands.
My HTML calluses.
So you have soft hands is what you're saying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's better to massage your women at night, You can do that.
But going to
other people's women.
But to Tanner's point of tribe, in your tribe, it may be a stigma to get a pedicure.
Sure.
You toil with your hands. That's your badge of pride or your social proof, whatever it is. And in some places, and even many more circles now than it was 5 years ago, it was a stigma to get a manicure and pedicure. To care about how you dress, to care about how you groom.
I think this goes back to a bigger issue, which is important. It's I think in some areas, I'm from rural Pennsylvania, I think dressing well is similar to what you're talking about, having rough hands. It's of course, I'm a man, of course I have rough hands because I shouldn't care about that. Right. I think in a lot of places, personal style is the same way, and that's why there's so much fear for guys who want to improve their style, because there is sort of that masculinity threat.
Which is so weird because that hasn't always historically been the case. You look at people, even in American culture, Teddy Roosevelt cared about the way that he dressed. And nobody could say that they were feminine men.
Harry Truman.
Right. It's the baby boomers who ruined everything and decided that
Thanks, Dad.
that decided that somehow caring about the way that you looked was effeminate or indicative of homosexuality or somehow just not masculine. Yeah. And the aspiration was that you could wear Tommy Bahamas and jeans because you ran the company. And so that's the environment that we grew up in. And so we have it in this kind of bubble that somehow that is masculinity. When you look at any other point in history or in any other culture, men have always signaled our masculinity through the things that we wear. That's why there's tattoos or branding or specific clothing in the military or anything else. Our clothes have always mattered.
Yeah. So I think then this leads to the question I probably should have started with.
Though, it's not going to remove the calluses on your hands. Yeah, we're talking about nails and a little bit of filing, so you're still going to be a rough, manly man.
The question is, this is not therapy for me, guys. I'm asking the question.
You are on a couch, so.
So this is a safe environment.
Safe space, safe space.
Scroll right, scroll right.
No, I guess this leads me to the question. I think I probably should have led with this question. Why even have this discussion? I actually want to turn to you, AJ, on this because I know a lot of the work that you're doing actually probably ties into the response of why even caring about what you look like is even something we should consider.
Well, it's a measure of your own self-worth. When you stop caring about yourself, you're telling the world that you don't love yourself.
Right.
And it leads to self-esteem issues. So for us, it's like we teach men how to build confidence, and confidence starts internally with how you feel. You can't add it on externally. So yeah, taking care of your body with fitness, nutrition, getting enough sleep, that's the foundation of that first impression. Then the clothes you wear on that body is a part of that first impression. The way you move your body, the body language is a part of that first impression. And first impressions matter. You know, when you want to meet and connect with people, you got to get them interested. It's so much harder if you're just approaching them cold and they have no bearing on who you are. So nailing that first impression really gets that ball rolling socially so you can build a connection with someone.
Isn't there some statistic that people make a judgment about you within the first, it's 5 seconds or something?
Yeah,
like that? Without even realizing it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can whine about that and say that that's not fair or the world shouldn't be that way. Or you can accept that it's reality and decide to use that to your advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe then let's talk about using style as a tool, which is what you're saying, using this to our advantage. Are there certain fundamentals that we can all incorporate, whether it's the way that we, like what type of shirt we wear, or what type of pants we wear, or boots, or that actually signal what we want to signal, if that's making sense?
I feel like maybe it was Brock who brought it up earlier. I think fit is the biggest one that we probably all agree with. And I feel like the subtle underlying thing that says is that I'm embracing my body as it is. Because I know a lot of guys who are maybe more heavy set or even skinnier will wear clothes that are too big for them because they think that it rounds them out, or it doesn't reveal their belly as much. But even if you're heavy set, like wearing a shirt that fits your body just sends that signal that I am comfortable with who I am. Maybe I need to lose a few lbs, but I'm comfortable with who I am.
Yeah.
I think, Raphael, you have a great story about being recognized and how it's helped build your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you have that style, and I think a suit, has been around in its current shape since the 1920s, the teens. It has changed very little, and then once you do that, people recognize you. Especially if you're on YouTube or anywhere, like you go to the airport and people recognize you. You go to the grocery store and if I go there after the gym, people are like, "Oh, you're usually so well dressed, right?" And you create some expectations almost, and it becomes your personal hallmark that allows people to identify you in a large group of people immediately. I went to a trade show and I got approached all the time. So if you're not comfortable talking to other people, it's great if they come up to you.
All right, so welcome back to part 2. We're going to finish this thing up. I can't talk. We're going to finish this thing up. What I want to do is first ask the question that's near and dear to my heart, which is facial hair. I want to talk about facial hair.
I hate it, personally.
What role does facial hair play in the conversation style? Yay, nay, how do we use it? What are some faults? What are some missteps? The man himself, I want to talk with Eric Van Holtz.
Yeah, I'm a man of many facial hair. As if you watch my old videos, you'll know. I think it's your hair and your beard can really define a story about you. And then especially when you tie that in with like your health, your body, your weight, you can nail your hair, your beard, and your body, and you can wear anything and get away with it. You could wear like trash bags and look cool. And I think like that's like every guy like
that's gonna be the next video.
On part 3 of this video.
But I think it's like a lot of guys get into like, oh, what kind of shoes to wear, cargo shorts, this or that. And it's like, take care of your hair, take care of your beard, take care of your body, and in my book, like that's it. But there's tons of styles. It all tells a different story.
I agree. So, Brock, I'm going to go to you when it comes to facial hair. Because I know you and I have had this conversation. And quite honestly, I think there's guys that want to maybe grow facial hair that maybe can't or is in their genes. Talk to me about when and where and all that stuff.
Can't or choose not to.
Either way.
I'd say, it's kind of like losing your hair, like balding it. Like if it's going to happen, like own it, It's like if you're losing your hair, receding hairline, shave your head, like Bruce Willis probably doesn't identify as a bald guy. Like he's just a badass that has a shaved head.
Yeah,
so I kind of feel the same way. Like if you can't grow like a full beard, I mean, definitely give it a shot. Like if you've never done it, at least try because you don't really know it unless you've let it go for a while. But if you can't, go with the completely shaven look.
Yeah.
Not saying just get
I know this is a little segue, but you talked about balding, and I kind of have a different mindset on the whole. Like, if you're balding, shave it. I think there's tools available to guys to help either slow down the loss of balding, or to like minimize the effects of it, or like get hair plugs and things like that.
What about just doing the Donald Trump and coming it over?
Yeah, I mean, but I think like there's good and bad techniques, right, with everything. But I think there's understanding that you have tools available to you to achieve a desired goal. So if you want to take like Rogaine and fight your hair loss and slow down that process, then do that. But feel confident in doing it. Don't hide it. Be like, yeah, man, I take Rogaine because that's what I want to do. That's the look I'm trying to have. Or, yeah, I went short with it because I just didn't want to fight the battle or whatever. So as long as you like own it and you don't use it as a mask, I think there's lots of different.
It seems like it goes back to intentionality. It's like whatever your goal is, or if you want to keep your hair, obviously own that.
Yeah.
One thing in terms of intentionality that I always see is with guys who are bearding up, that they don't really decide that they're going to grow a beard, but it's kind of happening. And people will ask them, so are you growing a beard? And they're like, I don't know yet. And I mean, I feel like that's one thing you have to do is you decide you're going to beard up and then immediately, start shaping it. And then people know that, okay, he's growing a beard, and not just, he didn't just get laid off. He's not just like spending all day on the couch watching daytime TV or something in sweatpants.
Well, so I know when I was growing a beard, it's interesting, like again, it's you use it and see if it works for you and what's different. But because when I grew a beard, I had a pretty long one. And I definitely noticed being treated differently. Like more guys were like saying what's up and just not hitting, but just talk it's like suddenly I had an in with dudes, and chicks were definitely like less interested. But I enjoyed I liked it. So it's just you just have to feel what's comfortable for you, but know that just like all the stuff it is a first impression. And a big one, makes a big first impression.
Yeah, I feel like I started getting called bro and man more once I had a beard. Just like people were,
I was their buddy.
That, right? I mean, for me, it's quite honestly at this point, it's been just maybe a bit of a status or a recognition symbol. So I'm definitely more recognizable, and that's something that I'm very intentional about. I like having it. I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks, but I also like the accolades and the part of the tribe, right, that comes along with having a beard too. So I don't think it's for everybody. But if you can have it and you feel like you want to grow a beard, grow a beard.
Personal style hallmark.
Yeah, exactly. And same, right? The way that you dress this, I mean, we all have that signature, and I think that's important to have, especially if you're trying to make a statement, which is what I'm trying to do. And so that's how that works. All right, so on the topic of hair, I want to talk about a little further south. I want to talk about manscaping now, which I would consider anything. Okay, sorry. You notice I said talk about. I did not say I needed an object lesson or anything like that to talk about.
Sorry.
Anything below the neckline, I would consider that. So I want to get some feedback. I want to get some opinions. Yay, nay, necessary, not necessary. Who wants to chime in?
Bleaching. Yeah.
Bleaching. Yes. Whatever.
Well, that escalated.
So the carpet doesn't match the drapes, Johnny?
I think
who's willing to have this conversation?
I think in general, I think guys need to tend to what's going on, because I think one of the big double standards that could easily exist is where we expect women to be fairly trim in certain areas, and many women go through all these terrible things to remove all their body hair, from here up essentially. And if we should expect to do the same things, and not to the same degree, but to at least take care of certain areas.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about armpit trimming, right? I think there's a big stigma for guys, like you don't touch your armpits, but like when I had like long armpit hair, and like the deodorant would clump up, so I'd have like a hair piece like this, just like coming out, and it's like you grab your clippers, you trim them down, not completely shaven, it's like not to the skin, and then it's nice, like you move and it looks well maintained, and there's nothing like feminine about that. Right. It's like you're taking care of something, and it's improving functionality because you don't have like clumpy deodorant everywhere. Yeah.
Anybody here against any form of manscaping for the opposite perspective, or is it safe to say everybody is in agreement with what these guys have said?
I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor.
And also depends, you know, you're really hairy and you have a super hairy back, and I find it's okay when you have to be comfortable, but also your significant other. It can be a big impact, you know. If she's like against it, and you have to do a little more, versus if she just loves all your hair, so gotta take it into consideration.
Yeah, definitely.
I have the what I call the Ryan Mickler. It's short and cropped on top, but the balls.
It's like a mullet.
How long you been saving that one, Andy?
It's the Ryan Mickler.
I've been doing
Hashtag
it
the Ryan
Mickler.
I think that's a good
hashtag.
There's a contest. Whoever can pair a photo with that hashtag.
No, there is not a contest at all.
Free Skype call with Ryan.
That's a good place to end. With that said, no, it's good. With that said, you know what I want to do is I want to go around the room and I want to ask you guys if you gave one, maybe two tops, like little caps of what maybe somebody should be conscious of when it comes to their style, improving their style, being more intentional, which I definitely think is something that's a thread line of through the conversation today. What would that be? So we'll just go in order. Again, you can scroll and you can see the other guys, not just me.
I think I kind of touched on some things already. Big thing is confidence. Other big thing is fit. Be comfortable with what you're wearing. It's got to be natural. Comfort zone is big. Wear what's in your comfort zone, but you also have to be willing to push the boundaries of that. Don't just run out of the comfort zone and try some whole new style. You know, as we said, kind of test this here, test this there. You know, if you think about what you're wearing as the various variables that you can change, you know, colors, patterns, textures, pairing different items together. Think about, okay, well, maybe this week I want to try a different shirt color. Maybe next week I want to try a different shoe type. And see where you're comfortable, what works for you, you know, how people react to that. And is that the reaction you want, or do you not really care about that? I'm guessing if you're watching this, you probably care a little bit about how you dress.
Yeah.
So it's all an entire package, and it has to be deliberate. You can't say, you know, there's no excuse for a guy anymore to say, oh, I don't care how I dress.
Right.
Those days are long past us. And then to Tanner's point about, you know, the baby boomers not caring, those days are past us. We're men of a new generation, and we have to set an example to the next generation and to people in our generation about dressing well and what it can do for you, both yourself and professionally and in relationships.
So remind us again as we go through, remind us where to find you so we can track you down.
So if you want to read about my various musings on men's style, you can go to thefineyounggentleman.com. And if you want to find the greatest loafers known to mankind, go to jbutler.com.
There it is.
There you go. Okay, if you want to check out my stuff, go to masculine-style.com. And I think the thing that I would leave is you have to understand that clothing or grooming or appearance, they're amoral tools. I think we have way too much emotion tied up into, do I care too much? Do I care too little? How am I dressing? How am I not dressing? And if you think about tools that you have in your garage, like you don't have a moral association with a hammer versus a screwdriver versus a saw or anything else. You use the right tool for the right job, and there's no emotion tied to it. And your clothing and your appearance can absolutely be the same way. Yes, there's taste, there's stories that are told, there's communication that comes with it. But as you're figuring all this stuff out, try to dampen all of that down as much as possible, learn the fundamentals, and then start to introduce that after, as opposed to being crippled by fear or aversion or affinity or all these other emotions that get involved with it.
Right on. AJ?
Yeah, you can go to The Art of Charm, check out our podcast as well. I think for us, the big thing is not overdoing it, not over-accessorizing and not screaming loud style, but understanding that style is a part of your first impression. And you definitely want to nail that so that socially you can connect and relate to people.
I'm with Beard Brand, Eric Van Hult's Beard Brand. My one piece of advice is before you really try to invest in your style, your image, fix what's going on up here. And once you invest in this, and once you get that right, then everything else is going to start falling in line.
Brian Masters, just type that in on YouTube and pick which channel you want to watch. I come at this from a different angle because I was definitely in the camp of never caring about what I wore or dressing, and I'm definitely not as refined as these guys, but it's made a huge difference, and I've studied. So what I would say for you is, as someone who came from a total newbie, is like, first of all, pick one guy, you know, whether one of the guys in here or another style guy, and just learn his stuff and just focus on that, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. And then, like Tanner was saying, like, make small intentional changes and see how that feels also to AJ's point of not overdoing it and looking crazy.
Andrew from primermagazine.com. I think for me, when I see guys who seem to be having trouble with their style, it's because there's a lack of intention in who they're being inspired by. So having a tribe that you relate to, or having certain style icons that you model yourself after. Because the biggest thing that I see is, I ask myself, who do you think you look like? And if you can answer that, that will help you for miles.
Effortless Gent. I think my one takeaway I would like everyone to know is once you do find like your inspiration, your style inspiration, or someone that you want to emulate, I think there is the basics and are very underrated. I think people try to kind of, to your point, just go 0 to 60 really hard and try everything at once. Also like what AJ said. But you know, if you get like a bunch of great classic stuff in neutral muted colors, it can take you a long way for a long time. And then from there, you have a great base from which you can add stuff to sort of personalize your look. So start slow and intentional and take it from there,
Brockendorf. Yeah, I say that like the low-hanging fruit, the place to start is just understanding fit, especially for your body type. Great place to do that is themodestman.com. And then, so that's on a very like tactical level. If you haven't worn something in over a year, just give it away. And then find a tailor you can trust and visit them often.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's great to have a signature item, to create a style that is unique to you. You're a person that no one else is, and that should be reflected in your clothes, because once you do it, you'll be remembered, people will recognize you, and they respect you more for what you are, and think you're more competent. And we'll learn more about that. We wrote a piece about 101 things that change when you dress up, and a lot of people recognize themselves in that once they did that. Gentlemansgazette.com.
Don't forget that.
KyleIntelligence.com. I'm kind of just going to echo what everybody said. Fit is the most important thing. I came, like Ryan, from someone who didn't care as much about clothing or dress very well. And the first thing I changed was buying clothes that fit better, and it makes a huge difference. The only other thing, if you're looking for inspiration, you can obviously go to any sites, but you can go to something like Pinterest and type in like spring style or summer style, or jeans with this or jeans with that, and get style ideas, and then base your buying decisions off of that as you're getting started.
I want to go on with the whole tribe thing, and one of the most important things, if you haven't found out where you're connected with, Google subcultures. And right now in popular culture, they're not all represented. And when I look around this room, I see a lot of classic stuff that are not very prevalent in popular culture, but they're from other subcultures, other time periods that will be classic and always be classic. So you can find those things on Google subcultures. There's so many. And as AJ said, you can find us at the Art of Charm.
I'm Kyle from thedistilledman.com. I certainly wouldn't consider myself a style expert, but one thing that I've really noticed in my style journey personally is I think a lot of us guys who didn't initially dress well are held back because we feel like paying more attention to the way that we dress is almost sort of a selfish act. But what I've really found in my own journey is that it's actually a social bridge a lot of times. I think a few folks mentioned this earlier, that when you start investing in the way that you look, obviously you feel better, but other guys pick up on that. And whether they're razzing you initially or whether they're just asking you, hey, where'd you get that awesome shirt? I think it's a great way to actually connect with people, which is something I didn't realize personally. So
yeah, I think dressing well is good manners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shows respect.
Right on. And again, my name is Ryan Mickler with Order of Man. If you are looking for style advice, ask somebody else. I'm the least stylish guy here, which is why I volunteered to hold the discussion rather than give any feedback. But seriously, go check these guys out. You're going to find a ton of good advice. I know over the past couple of years of knowing these guys, I have improved my style, which has improved my life. There's one way I sign out on all my videos and podcasts, and that is become the man you were meant to be. All right.
Right on. Thanks, everyone. Bye.